Now, a strange discovery in a recent NASA photo has some saying these visitors haven't just been observing Earth.
Antarctica might look like nothing but a frozen wasteland, but it hides more secrets than you'd expect. Under all the ice, strange discoveries have left even the most experienced scientists and explorers confused, and sometimes terrified. From mysterious fossils that don't fit our understanding of history, to insane abandoned structures that shouldn't exist, these finds raise more questions than answers. Get ready to dive into 30 of the creepiest, most unsettling discoveries ever made in this icy, isolated land. Number 30. Hidden lakes under the ice. Scientists have actually discovered around 400 subglacial lakes beneath the continent's icy surface. Just think. These mysterious bodies of water are completely cut off from sunlight, some potentially existing in darkness for millions of years. One of the biggest stars of this hidden network is Lake Vostok. It's basically a giant version of Lake Ontario, but buried under a whopping 2.5 miles of Antarctic ice. These lakes are remnants from a warmer past when Antarctica had a completely different climate. When the continent froze over, surface lakes got trapped and buried beneath expanding glaciers. The crazy thing is that the immense pressure from all that ice keeps the water liquid even though it's way below freezing. Some of these lakes might even have their own unique ecosystems with tiny organisms adapted to this alien world. Researchers are still hunting for more hidden lakes, with estimates suggesting there could be over 1,000 of them waiting to be discovered. That's not the only thing under the ice. This next one takes this whole thing to the next level. Number 29, City of Ice. Admiral Richard Byrd, an American explorer who claimed to have stumbled upon something mind-blowing during a 1946 Antarctic expedition. Byrd reported discovering a whole city built from weird, glowing crystal ice. According to his account, he even encountered a community living in cozy ice houses hidden beneath the Antarctic surface. Of course, some people think the harsh conditions and isolation might have gotten the better of Byrd, causing hallucinations or some kind of mental break. But every now and then, satellites capture strange images of Antarctica with unusual structures. While there's no scientific evidence to confirm Byrd's claims, it's a fascinating story that keeps people talking. Number 28. Changing seasons and ice sheet movement. A recent study by the University of Cambridge and NVO has shed light on a fascinating link between Antarctica's seasons and the movement of its ice. Using satellite imagery, researchers observed a surprising phenomenon. From December to February, the flow of ice through Antarctica's ice shelves increased by a significant 15%. This seasonal speed-up suggests that even subtle changes in temperature can have a noticeable impact on the movement of this colossal ice mass. Previously, scientists considered seasonal variations in Antarctic ice flow to be minimal. Further research is needed to create a complete picture of how Antarctica's ice responds to the changing seasons throughout the year. Number 27. The mystery of the Blood Falls. There's a waterfall that doesn't flow with water, but with something way creepier: blood. The blood falls in Antarctica's McMurdo dry valleys. This bizarre phenomenon sees a crimson flow oozing from the Taylor Glacier, spilling down onto the icy surface of Lake Bonny below. The stark contrast between the bright red liquid and the white frozen landscape is enough to send shivers down your spine. For years, scientists were scratching their heads, trying to figure out what caused this gruesome red color. At first, they thought it might be red algae. But Antarctica's super harsh environment isn't exactly a spa day for plant life. Other theories blamed rusty minerals or even special types of bacteria. Finally, in 2017, science cracked the case with a little help from radar technology. They peered inside the glacier and discovered the source. An ancient, super salty lake trapped beneath the ice for millions of years. Over time, water from the lake escaped as ice, leaving behind concentrated salts in the remaining liquid. This, combined with all the iron hanging around, keeps the brine nice and fluid, even though it's way below freezing. When this iron-rich brine finally busts out of the glacier and meets the fresh air, it oxidizes and turns a dramatic shade of red, creating the bloodfall effect. Number 26. Meteorite fragments. Thousands of meteorites are scattered across Antarctica, perfectly preserved by the dry, cold climate. One rock, nicknamed Allen Hills, 84001, sent shivers down scientists' spines in 1984. This palm-sized black wanderer looked eerily similar to Martian soil samples collected by NASA. Scientists believe a giant asteroid whack knocked this meteorite off Mars billions of years ago, sending it on a long journey before it landed in Antarctica. But that's not all. Some scientists, after looking at the meteorite under a superpowered microscope, thought they saw tiny fossils of ancient Martian microbes. Now, this evidence is pretty controversial, but it definitely sparked a lot of excitement. And Allen Hills, 84001, isn't the only cool meteorite Antarctica has. There's also Fukong, a glittering golden rock that crash-landed in 2000. It came from the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter and is packed with beautiful yellow crystals. Number 25, see-through fish. There's a whole host of dangerous animals that visitors need to keep an eye out for, such as leopard seals and orcas. However, it's some of the smaller animals in Antarctica that have the potential to be mysterious and a little bit creepy thanks to its unique environment. Antarctica is home to some creatures that are found nowhere else on Earth. For example, a new species of translucent fish was discovered in the water in 2014. Top scientists used to think that nothing could live in the seas below the ice shelves, which are covered by more than half a mile of ice. However, this little fish defied the odds. It may not be the deadliest predator, but its see-through skin and visible brain are enough to give many people nightmares. Seeing something strange in a place like Antarctica is one thing, but hearing something strange is another. This next one will bring you face to face with that. Number 24, singing ice. A piece of floating ice the size of France that is connected to the permanent landmass has an eerie way of communicating with explorers. The rough surface of the Ross ice shelf lets out an almost continuous hum of low tones as the wind passes across. The vibrations are too low to be heard by the human ear, but accelerated recordings reveal the mysterious sounds of the ice. It has been likened to a didgeridoo and was first heard in 2018. Number 23, broken compasses. Everyone knows that compasses are designed to always point to the magnetic North Pole. But what happens as you travel across Antarctica and closer to the South Pole? Because Earth's magnetic fields curve around the planet's spherical shape. When they get closer to the top or bottom, they move much straighter. This means that compasses won't be reliable or may not work at all around the South Pole. Luckily, all explorers are aware of this and have other precautionary measures in place to make sure they don't get lost. However, some conspiracy theorists claim that the broken compasses are a deliberate ploy to stop people from visiting certain parts of the continent. If this is the case, what exactly is being hidden? Number 22. A 76A. NASA's Terra satellite has captured an image of A76A, currently the world's largest iceberg, entering the Drake Passage. This turbulent body of water is known for its strong eastward currents that carry icebergs northward into warmer waters where they melt. A 76A is an enormous iceberg. Measuring 84 miles long and 16 miles wide, scientists will be monitoring its progress as it enters the Drake Passage and drifts towards warmer waters. Number 21, frozen world of aliens. In 2022, researchers drilling beneath the Larsen ice shelf in Antarctica made a fascinating discovery. Intrigued by a strange groove in satellite images, they ventured 1,140 feet, 500 meters down, and found a thriving community of tiny crustaceans called amphipods, some potentially new to science. But the surprises didn't stop there. Deep beneath the ice, where sunlight is virtually absent, they also found a type of algae called phytoplankton thriving. This challenges our understanding of how life survives, as algae typically rely on sunlight for photosynthesis. Perhaps these algae have adapted to subsist on minimal light, surviving with just 1% of the surface light levels. Number 20, colossal squid. The colossal squid is one of the ocean's biggest mysteries because the spotting of these guys is super rare. To shed light on this mysterious giant, a cutting-edge expedition was launched in 2022. It's a team effort. The non-profit Colossal is partnering with marine biologists and polar tourism companies. Their ambitious goal? To be the first to observe and study colossal squid in their natural Antarctic habitat by 2025. These behemoths, clocking in at over 40 feet, are the undisputed heavyweight champions of the invertebrate world. Their home lies in the crushing depths over 6,000 feet below the surface. To reach these extreme depths, the expedition is packing some serious tech. Specialized cameras and lights are essential for getting a closer look at these elusive creatures, and researchers are eager to get up close and personal to learn more about the colossal squid's anatomy, vision, how they find food, and how they behave. Number 19, 4-million-year-old DNA. Million-year-old DNA scientists found a million-year-old chunk of DNA, the oldest ever recovered from the seafloor. This is a window into the ancient sea creatures that swam Antarctica's oceans way back when. They pulled up a core sample from the seafloor, 584 feet down, to find this million-year-old DNA in the Scotia Sea. It blew away the previous record by a whopping 800,000 years. While they haven't identified the exact creatures this DNA belonged to yet, scientists know it comes from tiny marine organisms that lived during the Middle Pleistocene era. The secret to this amazing preservation? Antarctica's incredible deep freeze, of course. The constant chill and slow glacial movements basically entombed this organic matter, keeping it intact for millions of years. But this next one takes the word unexplainable one step further. Number 18. UFO buried in snow. Antarctica has allegedly had numerous alien spacecraft that have had less than successful landings. Various satellite images show suspicious formations and markings that some believe are evidence of extraterrestrial activity. Currently, nothing has been proven, and skeptics have come up with numerous explanations, such as shadows, mountains, or abandoned research facilities. In 2021, some puzzling shapes showed up on satellite images. Specifically, Google Earth captured a 200-foot-wide trough carved into the pristine snow. This indentation is super interesting because it's clean-cut, with no signs of surrounding disruption, making it look almost man-made, or some might say alien-made. Valentin Degtyarev, a Russian researcher who studies UFOs, believes this trench could be the mark of a crashed and buried UFO. However, there's another theory. Some scientists think it's just a naturally formed crack in the ice called a crevasse. The thing is, this particular crevasse has some unusual features. It's really sharp and geometric, and it's located way out in the remote interior of Antarctica, far from areas typically known for crevasses. That definitely raises some questions. This discovery isn't the only mystery from Antarctica. There have been reports of strange lights in the sky, like red and green flashes near the South Pole back in 1965. There's even an unsubstantiated story from the 60s about Navy engineers finding a saucer-shaped object while drilling ice cores. Then, radio silence. If there really are alien artifacts buried under the ice, Antarctica's changing climate could be in the process of unearthing them, literally melting these potential ancient burial sites out of the frozen landscape. Until we have more evidence, all we can do is speculate about its origins and purpose. Who knew Antarctica, the land of endless ice, was hiding a whole secret world underneath? Number 17. Antarctica's Great Pyramid. Back in 2016, some satellite images captured something incredible, a pyramid shape peeking out from under the ice. It wasn't just any pyramid, though. This one had seriously sharp edges and a geometric design that looked eerily similar to the Great Pyramid of Giza. This Antarctic giant towered over 900 feet tall, which would make it absolutely dwarf even the biggest Egyptian pyramids. The location is also pretty mind-blowing. This pyramid is buried deep within the Ellsworth Mountains, hundreds of miles from any kind of ocean access. Scientists say the pyramid shape is probably just a result of natural weathering patterns getting to work on existing cracks in the rock. If there are any artifacts or clues about who built this thing buried inside, maybe someday we'll finally crack the code of its origins. Until then, Antarctica's Great Pyramid remains a fascinating mystery at the bottom of the world. Number 16, the Lost Wallet. This story spans over half a century and involves a wallet on a wild Antarctic adventure. Paul Grisham was a former Navy weatherman stationed at McMurdo Station in Antarctica back in the late 1960s. Somewhere between 1967 and 1968, Paul accidentally left his wallet behind at the base. Little did he know it was about to embark on a decades-long deep freeze. The wallet remained tucked away behind a locker, perfectly preserved by Antarctica's bone-chilling temperatures. Fast forward to 2014, over 45 years later. Workers tearing down an old building at McMurdo Station stumble upon a weathered leather wallet wedged in a crack. Inside, a treasure trove of Paul's life and service. His Navy ID, a punch card for his beer rations. Even receipts for money were sent back home to his wife. This was a time capsule from Paul's Antarctic days. Now the challenge, finding the rightful owner after all this time. Stephen Ducato, an Air Force veteran, was the one who embarked on a 6-year mission to reunite the wallet with its owner. Finally, in 2020, Stephen tracked Paul Grisham down, now a 91-year-old man. You can imagine Paul's surprise when he got his long-lost wallet back. One of the items inside was a recipe for homemade Kahlua, a little reminder of how Paul warmed up on those chilly Antarctic nights. Number 15. Tunnels. Tunnels as tall as the Eiffel Tower. There's a whole network of hidden rivers flowing beneath Antarctica's ice sheet. And they're not just any rivers, but massive tunnels that dwarf buildings. Discovered by scientists using radar technology in 2019, these caverns carved into the underside of the ice are mind-blowing. Some reach a whopping 1,000 feet tall, taller than the Eiffel Tower. Scientists believe warm ocean currents are the culprits, sneaking in underneath the ice shelves and melting the ice from the bottom up. These upside-down rivers, as the researchers call them, change direction every year, carving a maze-like network beneath the ice. The sheer size and complexity of these tunnels came as a shock. Scientists had no idea this much meltwater was flowing beneath Antarctica. Number 14. Antarctica and Polynesian seafarers. What if the first explorers of Antarctica weren't those famous Europeans, but fearless Polynesian voyagers hundreds of years earlier? We usually think of the heroic age of Antarctic exploration, starting with Fabian von Bellingshausen, a Russian explorer who spotted the continent in 1820. But some historians have a wild theory. Polynesian sailors might have reached the icy waters of Antarctica a whopping 600 years before. This mind-blowing idea comes from translated Maori legends about a chief named Wita Rangiora. The stories tell of his epic journey far south around 650 AD, where he encountered giant icebergs and icy landscapes. Some scholars believe these tales hint that Wita Rangiora actually reached the edge of Antarctica. Plus, there are some cool carvings found in Polynesia. They depict what looks like icy lands, and if they're accurate, it would completely rewrite the story of who discovered Antarctica first. This would mean that these skilled Polynesian sailors had navigation skills on par with the Arctic explorers, using the stars and knowledge passed down through generations to traverse the vast Pacific Ocean. Number 13. Ancient Penguin Graveyard. In 2016, researchers in Antarctica stumbled upon a graveyard containing a perfectly preserved penguin remains dating back over 5,000 years. They dug through the ice at Cape Eresar before finding mummified penguins. As the team dug deeper, they unearthed layer upon layer of penguin bones, fossils, and even some bodies that looked surprisingly fresh, considering they'd been chilling for millennia. Using radiocarbon dating, scientists figured out this spot was a popular hangout for Adelie penguins for at least 3 separate periods across thousands of years. The most recent penguin party ended around 800 years ago, possibly because of a frosty period called the Little Ice Age. But way back 5,000 years ago, these ancient penguins had the perfect place for raising their chicks. The super dry conditions in this part of Antarctica are what kept these penguins preserved like frozen popsicles. Number 12. Bodies. To describe the conditions in Antarctica as harsh would be a massive understatement, and because of this, many of the first explorers perished in the 19th and 20th centuries. Thankfully, the advancement of technology and other precautions has made visiting the continent much safer in modern times. It's not known exactly how many have died over the years, but it is certain that not every dead body has been retrieved. Hundreds of corpses are frozen and buried in the ice, according to the most reliable estimations. Even though this region has seen darkness and despair, it's also seen the start of a life cycle, one that somehow got preserved through time. Number 11. 66-million-year-old egg. In 2011, paleontologists in Chile unearthed the biggest fossilized reptile egg ever found in Antarctica. This 11-inch behemoth left experts scratching their heads for years. Finally, after some detective work, scientists figured out it probably belonged to a humongous sea monster called a mosasaur. It was a giant, lizard-like predator cruising the oceans alongside dinosaurs. Supposedly, a mosasaur. These guys ruled the seas during the Cretaceous period, kind of like the supersized sharks of their time. The egg's shape and thin shell suggest mosasaurs had unique ways of reproducing at such enormous sizes. Scientists think mama mosasaurs might have hauled themselves onto land to lay their eggs, then hustled the hatchlings back to the safety of the ocean as fast as possible. This theory makes sense because they also found skeletons of adult mosasaurs and their plesiosaur cousins nearby. Baby mosasaurs wouldn't have stood a chance against land predators like T-Rex. Number 10. Broken compasses. Everyone knows that compasses are designed to always point to the magnetic North Pole. But what happens as you travel across Antarctica and closer to the South Pole? Because Earth's magnetic fields curve around the planet's spherical shape, when they get closer to the top or bottom, they move much straighter. This means that compasses won't be reliable or may not work at all around the South Pole. Luckily, all explorers are aware of this and have other precautionary measures in place to make sure they don't get lost. However, some conspiracy theorists claim that the broken compasses are a deliberate ploy to stop people from visiting certain parts of the continent. If this is the case, what exactly is being hidden? Number 9. Ancient fruitcake. In 2017, Antarctic conservators stumbled upon something incredible, a perfectly preserved fruitcake over 100 years old, tucked away in a crumbling explorer hut. This cake was left behind by none other than Robert Falcon Scott's Terra Nova expedition all the way back in 1911. They found it in Cape Adare, still wrapped in its original paper and chilling on a shelf like a time capsule. Considering it spent a century braving the harsh Antarctic climate, the cake looked surprisingly edible, according to the conservators, although of course no one dared to take a bite. Gotta keep history safe. It even had a faint fruity smell and a texture described as more leathery brick than fluffy sponge cake. Antarctica really is a natural deep freeze. Organic stuff down there can seemingly survive anything for decades. This amazing relic from the golden age of Antarctic exploration now has a new home, New Zealand's Canterbury Museum. Number 8. Antarctic fungi. Tons of microorganisms have been discovered in Antarctica, including an endemic species of fungi that usually flourishes in warm climates, but somehow they've also managed to thrive in the cold winters of Antarctica. These fungi feed on wood and are all over the wooden huts where the first explorers once lived. They are a highly evolved species that have adapted to the harsh environments of the region, which might be why they're some of the most unique creatures on the planet. Moreover, another type of fungus has been growing in the region, and it feeds on petroleum containers that were abandoned by the explorers. Once again, it's an evolutionary trait that's found in the fungi that only exist in the Antarctic area and nowhere else today. Scientists are trying to figure out if these petroleum-eating fungi can help us to clean large oil spills worldwide. Just imagine how fascinating that would be. Number 7. Third man factor. The third man factor is a mysterious explorer who is reported all over the world, but especially in Antarctica. This is the overwhelming feeling that an unseen presence is guiding or comforting someone in times of distress. Many believe these experiences are hallucinations caused by extreme conditions, like isolation, harsh climates, and unusual sunlight patterns. Famous explorer Ernest Shackleton and his team encountered this during their trek across glaciers, believing a fourth figure walked with them, though they were only 3. What makes this whole thing even weirder is that compasses and GPS systems malfunction near the North Pole because of the Earth's magnetic fields. Early explorers, unaware of all of this, would often end up lost, leading to numerous fatalities. While science explains the compass failure, conspiracy theories suggest hidden mysteries in these regions, are the real cause. Some believe the malfunction is a deliberate effort to keep people away from secret areas. Could there be any truth to these theories, or is it just the region naturally being weird here? Number 6. The Giant Hole. In 2017, a massive hole the size of Ireland appeared in Antarctica's Weddell Sea, called a polynya. While polynyas are not a new phenomenon, this one stood out because of how massive it was, spanning 78,000 square kilometers, and being the largest observed since the 1970s. It was also the first of its kind to open in 40 years. The hole formed as warmer, saltier water from the deeper parts of the sea rose to the surface, melting the ice. After cooling down at the surface, the water sank, reheated, and rose again in a continuous cycle. Despite knowing all of this, scientists are still confused about why polynyas form, though some think they might actually help marine mammals breathe by creating open water in ice-covered regions. Researchers are still investigating these massive holes and their long-term environmental impacts, as well as their potential significance in the changing Antarctic ecosystem. But the more we learn about them, the more interesting they seem to get. Number 5. Mount Erebus. Mount Erebus should be an impossibility in the icy landscape of Antarctica, but this volcano is real. It's not just any volcano, it's the world's southernmost active one, and it's been bubbling away for about 1.3 million years. Towering at 3,800 meters, it's the second highest volcano in Antarctica and has been showing increased volcanic activity over the past 30 years. Getting to Mount Erebus is not easy. The remote location and harsh weather make it a tough spot for scientists to reach. But despite that, a brave team made the trek in 2013, hiking through snow, rocks, and glaciers to reach the peak. Once they got there, they discovered organisms living in the heat of the volcano and even stumbled upon ice caves filled with unique microorganisms thriving in the soil. These extreme creatures are some of the most extraordinary on Earth, making Mount Erebus one of a kind. Number 4. The Southern Ocean. The Southern Ocean, named the world's fifth ocean in 2000, is a body of water that wraps all the way around Antarctica. It's the fourth largest ocean globally, encompassing the southern reaches of the Pacific, Indian, and Atlantic Oceans. With an unbelievable depth of around 7,300 meters, it's nearly twice the size of the United States. This ocean isn't just big. It plays a really important role in global ocean circulation and has a significant impact on our climate. Scientists have discovered that the Southern Ocean absorbs about 15% of the carbon emissions produced by humans, making it extremely important in the fight against climate change. The only problem is, this natural carbon sink may not last forever, leaving researchers with no time to investigate how it operates, but they have to before it's too late. Number 3. McMurdo Dry Valleys. The thought of a desert usually conjures up images of hot, sandy plains, yet Antarctica is the largest desert in the world. It's incredibly dry and windy, with as little as 50 millimeters of rain annually, while 99% of the continent is covered in ice. In the remaining 1%, you'll find the McMurdo Dry Valleys, where massive dunes reach up to 70 meters high and 200 meters wide. Although you can't go sandboarding down these dunes, they are an incredibly important site for researchers. The dry valleys have a similar climate to Mars, and scientists believe the region could hold the secrets to life on other planets. However, the dunes are moving at an alarming rate, migrating at an average of 1.5 meters per year. Scientists believe this is caused by climate change. As the atmosphere heats up, the ice melts and the dunes slip away. They are currently working quickly to unlock the mysteries of the dunes before they are gone forever. The urgency of this work adds to the global understanding of climate impacts across even the most remote and seemingly stable environments. This unique natural laboratory offers invaluable insights not just into terrestrial dynamics, but also into possible extraterrestrial conditions, making it a crucial yet fleeting resource for scientific discovery and understanding. Number 2. Gambutsev Mountain Range. Hidden below a 2,000 to 4,000 kilometer thick sheet of ice are the Gambutsev Mountains. They stretch for 1,200 kilometers and rise to 3,000 meters, a third of the height of Mount Everest. The mountains were named after Soviet geophysicist Grigory A. Gamburtsev, after they were discovered in 1958 by Russian scientists. The scientists were traveling across Antarctica when they encountered a thin spread of ice and recorded abnormal gravity fluctuations, revealing the incredible wonder below. Although we've never seen the mountains, scientists use radars to see the physical features of the mountains, while gravitational and magnetic readings allow them to study the mountains all the way to their base. The Gamburtsevs have long baffled scientists as to how they were formed and why they still exist. As the mountains are around 1 billion years old, they should have eroded away with the geological passing of time. There are many theories about how they are still standing, predominantly that there may be a frozen mantle protecting the mountains from erosion. Number 1. The only crime at the South Pole. In 2000, Antarctica became the scene of a chilling mystery. Australian astrophysicist Rodney Marks, a seasoned researcher stationed at the South Pole, became the first and only person to die a violent death on the continent. Marks was just 32 years old and seemingly healthy when he suddenly fell gravely ill. His condition worsened rapidly over a few short hours, and tragically, he passed away. An autopsy revealed high levels of methanol in his system, a toxic substance that, at such a high dose, would be almost impossible to accidentally ingest. The source of the methanol was a complete mystery, and there was no indication that Marks would have consumed it deliberately. Foul play immediately became the prime suspect. This shocking death sparked the first and only criminal investigation ever conducted in Antarctica. Since Marks was Australian, the investigation fell under their jurisdiction. However, performing a proper forensic analysis in Antarctica's harsh environment proved incredibly difficult. Exhaustive interviews with those at the station yielded few leads, and with no concrete evidence, the case was closed in 2007, leaving what happened to Mark a mystery. All right, so that's it for this video. And if you want to watch more amazing content like this, check out some of our other videos. Bye!